In a small town in Nigeria, there was a little girl who never ate cooked food. They mocked her. They whispered. They called her strange. But what if it was not her choice? She was not stubborn. She was not cursed. She was afraid. One truth, one brave voice, changed everything. The poor little girl who only ate raw food. The reason will leave you speechless. Watch till the end. A story of pain, truth, and healing. Subscribe for more touching stories. In a small town on the outskirts of Ibadan, there lived a little girl named Zainab. She was 9 years old, thin for her age, and always quiet. People often noticed her because of one strange habit. Zainab never ate cooked food. While other children rushed home at noon to eat hot rice, yam, or soup, Zainab sat under a mango tree behind her house, chewing on raw cassava, unripe fruits, or leaves she picked from nearby bushes. Sometimes she ate raw corn or ground nuts she found on the roadside. If there was nothing else, she drank water and went to sleep hungry. The neighbors whispered about her. "That girl is not normal," one woman said. "Her mother is wicked," another replied. Some even said Zainab was cursed, but no one truly knew the reason. Zainab lived with her stepmother, Hajia Rabi, and her father, Al-Haji Musa. Al-Haji Musa was a trader who traveled often. He sold farm produce in different towns and could be away for weeks. During those times, Zainab was left alone with her stepmother. Hajia Rabi treated Zainab differently from her own two children. Her children ate well, hot meals every morning, afternoon, and night. They wore clean clothes and went to school with full lunch boxes. Zainab, on the other hand, was not allowed to touch the cooking pot. "If you dare open that pot, I will break your hand," Hajia Rabi warned her one day, her eyes cold and hard. From that day, Zainab stopped asking for food. Each morning before the sun fully rose, Zainab swept the compound, washed plates, fetched water from the well, and cleaned the house. By the time other children were preparing for school, her stomach was already empty. She attended a public primary school not far from the house. At school, teachers noticed that she was always weak. During break time, when children shared snacks and food, Zainab sat quietly at the back of the class, pretending to read. Her class teacher, Mrs. Adiemi, once offered her a piece of meat pie. "Zainab, take this," she said gently. Zainab shook her head quickly. "No, Ma." "Why? Are you not hungry?" Zainab lowered her eyes. "I am fine." But she was not fine. That afternoon, hunger became too much. After school, instead of going straight home, Zainab walked toward the bush path behind the school. She picked a few raw garden eggs and washed them with water from her bottle. She ate slowly, ignoring the bitter taste. That was when Aisha, a girl from her class, saw her. "Why are you eating that raw?" Aisha asked in shock. Zainab froze. She wanted to run, but her legs felt heavy. "I like it," she replied softly. Aisha looked confused but said nothing. The next day, she told others. Soon the whole school knew. Zainab eats raw food. Maybe she is poor. Maybe she is mad. The whispers followed her everywhere. One afternoon, Zainab fainted during assembly. She fell to the ground like a dry leaf. Teachers rushed her to the staff room and poured water on her face until she opened her eyes. Mrs. Adayemi felt her forehead. "She is burning with fever," she said. "This child is not eating well." The school sent a message home. When Haji Arabi arrived, she did not show concern. She looked annoyed instead. "She is always pretending," she said. "She likes attention." But when Zainab got home that evening, she could not stand. Her body shook as hunger and sickness fought inside her. That night, as her stepmother and siblings ate hot food inside the house, Zainab lay on a mat outside the kitchen, staring at the dark sky. Her stomach made quiet sounds, but she ignored it. She reached into her small bag and brought out a half-ripe mango she had saved. She wiped it on her dress and bit into it. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she chewed. She did not eat raw food because she liked it. She ate raw food because she was afraid. Afraid of the pot, afraid of the kitchen, afraid of what would happen if she touched cooked food again. And buried deep inside her heart was a memory, one terrible memory, that made her choose hunger over hot meals. A memory that, if ever told, would leave everyone speechless. Zainab did not always eat raw food. There was a time when the smell of cooked rice made her smile. There was a time when she waited near the kitchen, hoping to be the first to receive food. That time felt very far away now, like a dream she once had and could not remember clearly. It all changed 2 years earlier. Zainab's mother, Miriam, was gentle and soft-spoken. She sold vegetables in the local market and always returned home tired but smiling. No matter how little they had, she made sure Zainab ate warm food every night. Food gives strength, her mother always said, and you need strength to survive this world. One rainy evening, Miriam fell sick. At first it was just a cough, then fever followed. Soon she could no longer go to the market. Zainab watched helplessly as her mother became thinner every day. They had no money for proper treatment. One night, Miriam held Zainab's hand and spoke in a weak voice. Zainab, listen to me. Be a good girl. Always be kind, and never allow hunger to make you steal. Zainab nodded, tears falling freely. By morning, her mother was gone. After the burial, Zainab's world became silent. Her father, Al-Haji Musa, was not home often, even before her mother died. But after the burial, he stayed away longer. A few months later, he brought a new wife home, Haja Rabi. At first, Haja Rabi pretended to be kind. She smiled in front of neighbors. She called Zainab my daughter. She even served her food. But everything changed the day Zainab touched the pot. That afternoon, Haja Rabi was cooking soup. The smell filled the house, and Zainab's stomach turned with hunger. Her stepmother had not given her any food since morning. Zainab waited patiently. When the soup was ready, Haja Rabi stepped out of the kitchen to answer a phone call. Zainab stood there staring at the pot. Her hands shook as she picked up a spoon. She only wanted one spoon of soup. Just one. She dipped the spoon into the pot. Suddenly, a loud scream filled the kitchen. "What are you doing?" Before Zainab could turn, Haja Rabi grabbed her arm. The spoon fell. Hot soup splashed on Zainab's hand. She screamed in pain. "You thief!" Haja Rabi shouted. "You want to finish my food?" She dragged Zainab closer to the pot. "You like cooked food so much?" Zainab cried and begged. "Please, I am sorry, I was hungry." But Haja Rabi did not listen. She pushed Zainab's hand toward the hot pot again. The heat burned her skin. Zainab screamed louder. From that day, Zainab learned fear. Fear of the kitchen. Fear of fire. Fear of pots. Her hand healed slowly, but the memory stayed fresh. After that incident, Haja Rabi made new rules. Zainab was not allowed in the kitchen when food was cooking. She was not allowed to eat cooked food unless her father was present. She was not allowed to complain. If she disobeyed, punishment followed. So Zainab found another way to survive. She ate raw food. Raw food did not come from the pot. Raw food did not burn. Raw food did not bring punishment. Whenever hunger came, she went outside. She learned which fruits were safe. She learned how to peel cassava carefully. She learned how to drink water slowly so her stomach would feel full. Each bite reminded her that pain could be avoided if she stayed away from cooked food. At school, her weakness increased. Mrs. Adeyemi began to watch her closely. She noticed the scars on Zainab's hand one day while marking books. "What happened to your hand?" she asked gently. Zainab pulled her hand back quickly. "Nothing, Ma." But Mrs. Adeyemi knew something was wrong. That same week, Alhaji Musa returned home unexpectedly. He noticed Zainab's thin body, her tired eyes, and the way she avoided the kitchen. "Why does this child look like this?" he asked. Haja Rabi smiled calmly. "She refuses food. She likes suffering." Zainab said nothing. She had learned that silence was safer than truth. But that night, as she lay on her mat chewing raw corn, Zainab wondered how long she could keep this secret, because her body was getting weaker, and soon someone would ask a question she could no longer avoid. Zainab woke up that morning feeling dizzy. The room spun as she tried to stand up. Her legs shook, and she had to hold the wall to keep herself from falling. The night before, she had eaten only 2 raw garden eggs and drank water. It was not enough. Still, she forced herself to move. She swept the compound slowly, her strength fading with every step. Haja Rabi watched her from the doorway. "Faster," she said sharply. "Do you want the sun to meet the dirt?" "Yes, Ma," Zainab replied weakly. After finishing her chores, Zainab walked to school. Each step felt heavy. By the time she reached the classroom, her head was pounding. During the first lesson, words on the board began to blur. Zainab tried to focus, but her stomach twisted painfully. Then everything went dark. She collapsed from her seat. The next thing Zainab felt was a cold cloth on her forehead. She opened her eyes slowly and saw Mrs. Adeyemi bending over her. "Thank God," the teacher said softly. "She is awake." Zainab tried to sit up, but her body refused. The school nurse shook her head after checking her. "This child is badly malnourished," she said. "She has not been eating proper food." Mrs. Adeyemi felt anger rise in her chest. This cannot continue. The school sent for Zainab's father again. This time, Alhaji Musa came in person. When he saw Zainab lying weak on the small bed, his heart tightened. She looked smaller than he remembered. Her lips were dry and her eyes had lost their shine. "What is happening to my daughter?" he asked. Mrs. Adeyemi looked at him directly. "Sir, this child is starving." Alhaji Musa turned in shock. "That is not possible." "She eats raw food," Mrs. Adeyemi continued. "She refuses cooked meals. She faints often. Something is wrong at home." Alhaji Musa felt confused. "Zainab, is this true?" Zainab turned her face away. Her chest felt tight. Her heart beat fast. She remembered the hot pot. She remembered the pain. She remembered the warning. Her voice came out in a whisper. "Yes, sir." "Why?" her father asked gently. Tears filled her eyes. She opened her mouth, but fear held her tongue. I cannot eat cooked food," she said finally. "Why?" Mrs. Adeyemi asked softly. Zainab closed her eyes. The room was quiet. Then she spoke. "She burned me," Zainab said. Everyone froze. "She pushed my hand into the pot," Zainab continued, her voice shaking. "I was hungry. I only wanted one spoon of soup. Since then, I am afraid." Mrs. Adeyemi gasped. Alhaji Musa stood up suddenly. "Who burned you?" Zainab's tears flowed freely now. "My stepmother." The truth hung heavy in the air. Alhaji Musa felt the ground move beneath his feet. His heart filled with guilt. He remembered how often he traveled, how he trusted too easily, how he never asked questions. Mrs. Adeyemi spoke firmly. "Sir, this is abuse. This child needs help." Alhaji Musa nodded slowly, shame covering his face. "I failed her." He looked at Zainab. "I am sorry, my daughter. I should have protected you." Zainab cried harder. Not because of pain, but because someone finally believed her. That evening, Alhaji Musa did something unexpected. He took Zainab home, but not to Haji Arabi's house. Instead, he took her to his elder sister's home in another part of the town. "Auntie Khadija will take care of you," he said. "You will be safe here." That night, for the first time in years, Zainab slept on a bed with a pillow. The house was quiet. No shouting, no threats. In the kitchen, Auntie Khadija cooked rice and vegetable soup. The smell filled the house. Zainab's stomach tightened, not with hunger, but fear. When the food was served, Zainab stared at the plate. "It is okay," Auntie Khadija said kindly. "No one will hurt you." Zainab's hands trembled as she picked up the spoon. The food was warm. Too warm. Her heart raced. She dropped the spoon and pushed the plate away, shaking her head. "I cannot," she whispered. Auntie Khadija said nothing. She only nodded and brought Zainab a banana and groundnuts. "Eat this for now," she said gently. Zainab ate slowly. Healing had begun, but fear still ruled her heart. Zainab stayed with Auntie Khadija, and slowly, life began to feel different. No one shouted at her in the morning. No one threatened her with punishment. When she woke up, Auntie Khadija smiled and asked how she slept. These small things felt strange to Zainab, as if she had entered another world. Still, fear followed her. Each time Auntie Khadija cooked, Zainab stayed far away from the kitchen. The sound of boiling water made her heart race. The smell of hot food reminded her of pain. Auntie Khadija noticed. She never forced Zainab to eat cooked meals. Instead, she allowed her to eat fruits, soaked gari, and groundnuts. She made sure Zainab drank enough water and rested often. "You have been through a lot," she told her one evening. "Healing takes time." Alhaji Musa visited every weekend. Each visit, he looked more worried. He brought fruits, milk, and small gifts. "I will make this right," he promised. At school, Mrs. Adeyemi kept a close eye on Zainab. She arranged for the school counselor to speak with her once a week. At first, Zainab barely spoke, but slowly words began to come. She talked about the kitchen, the pot, the fear. Each time she spoke, the weight in her chest reduced a little. One afternoon during counseling, the counselor asked, "What do you fear the most?" Zainab thought for a moment. "That cooked food will hurt me again." That same week, Auntie Khadija tried something new. She cooked very early in the morning, before Zainab woke up. She allowed the food to cool completely. At breakfast, she placed the plate on the table and said calmly, "This food is not hot." Zainab stared at it. She touched the plate carefully. It was cool. She touched the rice. Nothing happened. Slowly, she took a small bite. Her eyes widened. It did not burn. It did not hurt. She swallowed. That was the first time in 2 years Zainab ate cooked food. It was only a little, but it was a victory. From that day, they moved slowly. Cooled food first, small bites, no pressure, no shouting. Weeks passed. Zainab gained a little weight. Her eyes became brighter. She laughed sometimes, soft, shy laughter that made Auntie Khadija's heart ache. But while Zainab was healing, trouble was brewing elsewhere. Haji Arabi noticed that Al-Haji Musa no longer trusted her. He questioned her often. He watched her closely. One evening, he confronted her. "You burned my daughter," he said. Haji Arabi denied it. "She is lying. She is stubborn." Al-Haji Musa's voice was firm. "I saw the scars. I heard the truth." That night, Al-Haji Musa made a decision that shocked everyone. He sent Haji Arabi away. News spread quickly in the community. Some people supported him. Others criticized him. But Al-Haji Musa did not care. "My child comes first," he said. For the first time, Zainab felt protected. Yet there was still one thing left, her fear of eating hot food. And one day, fate would force her to face it. Zainab was getting stronger. Each day she ate a little more. Rice, beans, and vegetables, always allowed to cool before touching her lips. Her body slowly responded to proper food. Her cheeks became fuller and her steps lighter. But fear does not leave easily. Even when food was warm, not hot, Zainab's heart beat fast. She ate carefully, watching her hands as if fire might suddenly return. One Saturday afternoon, something unexpected happened. Auntie Khadija received a call from the market. She needed to step out urgently. "I will be back soon," she told Zainab. "Stay inside and rest." Zainab nodded. After Auntie Khadija left, the house became quiet. Zainab sat on the mat reading her school book. Her stomach began to ache with hunger. She walked to the kitchen. On the stove was a pot of soup Auntie Khadija had cooked earlier. It was meant for lunch. Zainab stopped. Her heart started racing. The kitchen looked harmless, but memories rushed in. She told herself, "It is not the same kitchen." Still, her legs felt weak. She waited. Minutes passed. Hunger pushed her forward. Slowly, she picked up a spoon and dipped it into the pot. Steam rose into her face. She screamed and dropped the spoon, jumping back. Her chest tightened. Her hands shook. Tears flowed freely. The fear was still there. She ran outside and sat on the ground, hugging her knees. When Auntie Khadija returned and saw her like that, she knew something had gone wrong. Zainab told her everything through tears. Auntie Khadija listened without anger. Then she did something surprising. She brought a chair into the kitchen and sat down. "Come," she said gently. Zainab hesitated. "I will not touch you," Auntie Khadija promised. Together they sat far from the stove. Auntie Khadija lit a small candle. "This is fire," she said calmly. "Fire can cook food. Fire can also hurt, but fire does not control you." She blew out the candle. "You control how close you go." That evening, Auntie Khadija called Al-Haji Musa and Mrs. Adeyemi. They agreed that Zainab needed help beyond kindness. She needed healing from the inside. The next week, Zainab started seeing a child therapist in the city. At first, Zainab was silent, but slowly she spoke. She drew pictures. She cried. She released the fear she had carried for years. Each session made her braver. Then came the day the therapist suggested something bold. "Zainab," she said gently, "you will touch warm food, by choice." Zainab shook her head in fear, but she remembered something important. She was no longer alone. That day would change everything. The therapy room was quiet. Sunlight passed through the window, resting gently on the table where a small plate sat. On the plate was rice and vegetable soup. The steam was light, not strong. Zainab stared at it. Her hands were cold. Her heart beat loudly in her ears. "You are in control," the therapist said softly. "Nothing will happen unless you choose." Auntie Khadija sat beside Zainab, her presence calm and steady. Mrs. Adeyemi was also there, her eyes full of encouragement. Zainab swallowed hard. She remembered the pain, the shouting, the burning heat. But she also remembered something new: safety. Slowly, Zainab stretched her hand forward. She touched the edge of the plate. It was warm. She did not pull back. Nothing happened. Her fingers moved closer. She touched the rice carefully. Warm, not burning. Tears filled her eyes. "I am okay," she whispered. The therapist nodded. "Yes, you are." Zainab picked up a spoon. Her hand shook, but she did not drop it. She scooped a small portion of rice and waited. Her heart was ready to run, but she stayed. Then she put the food in her mouth. She chewed, she swallowed. The room went silent. Zainab had just eaten hot food. Her body did not burn. No one shouted. No one hurt her. She began to cry, not from fear, but relief. Everyone in the room cried with her. That day marked a turning point. From then on, Zainab practiced every day. Warm food, then hotter food. Always slowly, always with support. Her strength returned faster. Her laughter came back fully. At school, Zainab became more active. She answered questions. She played during break time. She shared food with friends. Aisha hugged her one day. "You look happy now." Zainab smiled. "I am." But life still had one final test. One evening, Alhaji Musa came to Auntie Khadija's house with serious news. "The court has asked for Zainab to speak," he said quietly. "They want the truth." Zainab's heart skipped. She had never spoken in front of many people. She had never faced her past openly. Fear returned, but this time, it was different. This time, she had a voice. The courtroom was large and quiet. Zainab sat beside her father, her feet barely touching the floor. Her hands were folded tightly on her lap. The room smelled of paper and wood. Adults filled the seats, their faces serious. Haji Arabi stood on the other side, her face stiff. Zainab's heart beat fast. She wanted to run, but she remembered the therapist's words, "Your voice matters." When her name was called, Zainab stood up slowly. "Tell us what happened," the judge said kindly. The room became silent. Zainab took a deep breath. She spoke about the hunger, the kitchen, the pot, the burn. She showed her scar. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. "I ate raw food because I was afraid," she said softly. "I did not want to feel that pain again." No one spoke. Some people wiped their eyes. Even Haji Arabi looked away. When Zainab finished, the judge nodded slowly. "That is enough," he said. The truth had done its work. The case ended quickly after that. Haji Arabi was ordered to stay away from Zainab and receive counseling. Zainab did not feel joy or anger, only peace. Outside the courtroom, people whispered, "That little girl is brave. She survived." Zainab held her father's hand tightly. That night she slept deeply. For the first time she felt free. Life slowly returned to normal. Zainab moved back into her father's home, but everything was different now. Auntie Khadija visited often. Mrs. Adeyemi checked on her progress. The house no longer felt like a place of fear. Zainab ate well. Sometimes the food was hot, sometimes it was warm. Each meal felt like a victory. One afternoon, the school invited parents for a special program on child safety and care. Zainab was asked to speak, not as a victim, but as a survivor. She stood on the small stage, her hands steady. "I used to eat raw food," she began. The hall became quiet. "People thought I was strange," and she continued. "But I was not strange. I was afraid." Parents listened closely. "I ate raw food because cooked food reminded me of pain," Zainab said. "I was not being difficult. I was protecting myself the only way I knew how." Silence filled the hall. Some parents bowed their heads. Some wiped tears. That was the reason that left everyone speechless. Zainab ended with a small smile. "Children need safety before food can heal them." The audience stood up and clapped, not loudly, but deeply. Years later, Zainab grew into a strong young woman. She chose to study child psychology. She wanted to help children who suffered in silence, just like she once did. And every time she cooked a meal, she remembered the girl who once feared the pot. That girl survived. That girl healed. That girl won.